game, 6 assists, and he was hitting over 50% of his field goals, and he was the leader of that team. Tyler Hansbrough, he's kind of out of it. He had a good tournament, but nothing like he did in his later years in UNC. And Ty Lawson really got into it. He was playing with an injured toe too, which is pretty impressive because he really put that injury aside and he came through. For Hansbrough, Lawson, and Ellerton and Green, they all stayed back. Didn't go to the NBA. They wanted to win a championship, and Lawson carried that team throughout the tournament into the championship game and winning the championship. They had a hard bracket. They had to beat Syracuse. They had to go through Syracuse and Oklahoma, and they got into there. They beat Villanova in the Final Four, and Ty Lawson was a major key. He led up that offense, taking it from the key, passing it, getting a lot of assists, good points, driving to the hole too, even with an injured toe. So I have to say he was the MVP of that team.
Dina, who'd you pick?
All right, well, I picked a player from UNC also. I picked Tyler Hansbrough. He was a senior at UNC this year, and he led his team all 4 years, basically, especially with his offense and his improved defense throughout the years. The most impressive thing is that he is the 5th all-time leading scorer in the NCAA tournament, and that's a huge accomplishment when you consider all of the teams that are in the NCAA and all of the teams that make it through the tournaments, like of all time. To be the 5th leading scorer, that's like a big deal. You know, he knew how to clog the paint, not to let other players get easy points off of him. He played defense really well, and he used his height to his advantage. And when he got the ball in the paint, you knew he was going to score. He got easy 2 points right off the bat, and he was also a good short-range jump shooter. So I definitely think that he was MVP, and it was great that as a senior, he got to win this championship and go out with a bang.
Definitely. Now, this was you guys' first time in the den. Let's go back down to the dungeon and see how you did.
All right, guys, excellent stuff for that. Let's get right into the feedback. All right, guys, I thought it was a lot better than you redeemed yourself from the desk in the Gaily highlight. You both researched it very well. It was obvious you guys just went home and did your homework. Very comfortable looking in the chairs. And Babs, you had a lot of good information. Athena, you stated your case very well, and I thought it was an overall great job.
I agree. Being the one that moderated it, it was really comfortable. You guys all knew what you were talking about, and I was impressed with your knowledge, and I think that you did a great job. Maybe a little more interaction between you. It was sort of you guys just saying your piece, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but maybe a little more interaction. That's the one criticism I have.
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. I agree with Jonny. That's the only thing I could say that was maybe bad about the performance. You guys not interacting, but other than that, you guys definitely sounded like you knew what you were talking about. You seemed very comfortable up there, so I thought it was a great job.
Okay, so start with the bad news. Jonny, the thing I didn't like about your performance was that sometimes your arguments ran a little long. Like you stated basically everything you needed to state, and then you kind of dragged it out a little bit. But I mean, again, it's not like you seemed uncomfortable, so it wasn't all bad. And Athena, the first argument, at least for me, was very general and not specific when you were talking about Arizona. But that being said, the good news, Jonny, you came with great info. You definitely knew what you were talking about, and Athena, you seemed really, really comfortable on camera. So I thought it was really good.
All right, we're back in the Mardu Sports Tent, and now it's time for mail time. John, read us the first email.
All right, what is the best sports commercial of all time?
All right, for this one, I said a Lance Armstrong commercial. He is one of the most modern athletes right now, and to think of all that he's overcome is a real great feat. In the commercial, he's riding his bike, his professional sport that he does, and he's racing against a ton of things like a flock of geese, buffalo, a train, another group of cyclers, and he's just beating all of them and showing his will to just go and put the effort through. And at one point, he rides past a hospital full of cancer patients, and he gives them a fist pump and just keeps telling them to keep fighting. And it's a real inspirational commercial. It has no voices, but it really gets the point across, and that's what I think is most important about a commercial.
All right, my commercial I'd pick, I'm going back to 1979 with Mean Joe Green. It's a Coke commercial. And what happens is Mean Joe Green is walking down the tunnel after a game, limping. A little kid comes up. He goes, "Mr. Green, I think you're the greatest ever." Mr. Green's, I'll call him, Joe Green's kind of grumpy. He's like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "No." And the kid's like, "I really mean it." He goes, "Have my Coke." And he was like, "Okay, whatever." And once he opens the Coke, great music, smiling music comes up. He's drinking, he's smiling, he's all happy. And the kid just like walks away because he's kind of sad that, you know, Joe Green's mad at him. And then Joe Green smiles, he's happy, drinking his Coke. He goes, "Hey, kid," tosses him the jersey. Kid makes his day, runs off happy, and Coke commercial Coke makes everyone smile. So.
Yeah, I mean, my commercial, however, that I picked is about something I think a lot more significant than a soft drink. You know, it's about
a sports commercial. It's an inspiration commercial.
It's a sports commercial. Lance Armstrong.
Lance
is an
Armstrong is
athlete.
riding on a bike, though.
Cycling. Do you realize all the effort and
I'm
hard
not
work
saying
that takes
cycling
into being
isn't a
cycler?
sport, but all he does is ride.
Really? Riding a bike isn't a
I
sport?
said it is. I agree. It's just,
Okay.
It is a sport. But he's just riding. He's not shown. He's riding past. Obviously, a train is faster than him in Buffalo. But he's just
It's
riding.
showing the will to succeed.
Yeah, but who cares? It's not a sports commercial. He's promoting himself.
Everyone cares.
He's
the guy
promoting
is a
him.
cancer
He's promoting
survivor
himself. He's promoting his foundation. If anything, it is a foundation commercial
that
to alert
supports kids that have cancer.
That's a cancer alertness commercial.
Yeah.
Which is that a sports
Cancer
commercial?
alertness
Which is that a
also
sports
saying,
commercial?
no, it's transferring because since he is a cancer survivor, it is transferring back to the point that he has gone through so much success in his career, also overcoming cancer, which is,
but
a
how
major-
many kids, modern day kids, look up to Lance Armstrong as a hero? There
go
are
to-
steroid allegations
go
about
to
him a few years
any-
back.
And then there was the other commercial where he says, "What am I on? I'm on my bike. What are you on?"
Who cares? Of
not on
course he's gonna do
steroids.
that. You never know. Whatever.
Well,
Maybe he not be. But my commercial, Mean Joe Green is an NFL icon, one of the greatest defensive linemen ever, and he's just a perfect guy. It's one of the best
He's
commercials.
outdated.
He's outdated. Doesn't matter. The commercials are great. It's a classic. Everyone knows the commercial. Everyone knows that sweet little jingle that comes on, drinks the Coke, and the kid just sitting there like, he's a cute kid, you know. He just gives him the Coke and
Yeah, but
walks
it
around.
doesn't matter if everyone knows it if it doesn't really
It's
make
a
an
great
impact.
sports commercial.
Yeah, but this sports commercial actually makes people like think about what Lance Armstrong did and everything.
Oh, it just thinks, oh, he does cancer, and
All right. Well,
it's
we're
just-
obviously going to
it's a
disagree.
classic. That's all I can say. Mean Joe Green is he's
All
a
right, we're
classic.
going to disagree on this one. We're not budging on our topics, so let's move on to the second email. All right, you have been put in charge of renaming the TD Bank North Garden to anything you want. What are you calling it?
Well, what I am calling it, I'm gonna actually name it after myself. I'm calling it the John Babula Palace of Indoor Sports and Events. I am naming that because if you were putting in charge a national building that everyone knows about, it, Bruins Celtics play there, you are obviously gonna name it after yourself, so everyone can know you. Everyone's gonna be like, "That's John Babula. He owns the Palace of Indoor Sports and Events." Everyone's gonna know you, and you're also gonna name it after yourself and be like, "Yeah, that's my building."
Well, who's John Babula at this point?
I'm John
Some
Babula.
random guy that buys a stadium, names it after himself? Stadiums are named after people who are well-known, or companies that are well-known.
Most stadiums are now named after corporations that
Yeah,
no one
that are
cares
still
about.
well-known. Why do you think
I
that
don't-
Foxborough Stadium was renamed Gillette? It's a well-known
Yeah,
company
but who
that has
cares?
a ton of money
I
to
think
buy it.
some. What would you name it?
All right, I'm going back to the old Boston Garden.
Well, yeah, that's a good. It's a good answer, but it's the obvious. I mean, it would make Boston happy, but would it really make you happy knowing that you could have it named after you?
No,
You-
I wouldn't name it after me. The Boston Garden is a classic name, and to think of all the history that's there. I mean, 16 Celtics championships, 5
It's been
Boston Bruins
refurnished. That's
Stanley
all of that.
Cups.
It's been refurnished. That's not the legit building that it was in.
Yeah, but it really doesn't matter. There's been so many stadiums
yeah,
refurbished
but
and
maybe
named the same
it would
name.
maybe it would make Boston happy, but it would make you happy knowing that you could name it after yourself and had a cool name. We could name it whatever, but you would name it back to the
It's
original
about
thing.
collective happiness, not just
I
my
would be
personal
happy
interest.
knowing it is my name, and I would name it
Yeah,
my
and
name.
the rest of Boston is miserable because it's named John
No,
Babula,
because they found out who
knows
I
about
am.
it.
They'll be like, yeah, this guy's cool. I'm happy with it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I
no.
think they'd be like, this guy's a cool guy.
To think of everything that's happened back when, like the
this-
old timers right now,
is an obvious
all
answer.
the history and the
This is
memories
an
that they have
obvious
back at
answer.
the Boston Garden. It's not, well, it may be an obvious answer, but it's the right answer.
It's what I would name it after myself. All right, but let's go to the next question. This question seemed pretty interesting last year. If you opened a new ballpark and you could decide who's going to throw the first pitch, who would you have throwing it?
All right, I have President Obama throwing the first pitch. Opening a new franchise, we just got a new president, And to me, it seems like it's making a statement having the president throw at the first pitch.